It's not something you think you need to know how to bake, but once you learn to make it, you'll never go back. Today we're learning to bake up a loaf of sandwich bread. It's a recipe that's timeless, versatile, and so rewarding. The Studio 5 Go Big Sister series is all about that friendly, no judgment kind of guidance. That feels like it's coming from your big sis to help you master the basics and build confidence in the kitchen. Oh, we're so excited. And today we're calling on Heather Smith, basically like my big sister, yes, to coach us through this.
I'm so excited. I mean, we kind of purposely planned today's segment so that we could do this together because I know how much you love talking ingredients.
Yes, and this one you're like, oh, what is there to know? You put some flour and yeast and you should be good to go. Yes. But there's so much more to that, really, like, that could mess it up.
Well, and I think when you have such simple ingredients, and I think you notice this with your cakes, is like when you really focus on the very minimal basics, you have to make sure you have them right.
Yes.
Because if there's 5 ingredients in a recipe and one of those is off, then you're gonna find like, oh, something's going on. So like there's nothing really complicated about this. Truthfully, you can have sandwich bread on your table in like 2.5 hours. So like some people are like, I'm gonna jump into bread and I'm gonna go sourdough. And I'm gonna pull you back and say, before you jump on the sourdough route, and you can incorporate sourdough into this, but before you jump into that, let's try a sandwich loaf. Because number one, my kids are gonna eat a sandwich loaf way more than they love like a sourdough bowl. So this is gonna be super easy. So if bread has been intimidating to you, this is a great way to start.
Okay, so this is gonna be for any kind of baker, beginner level or up, right?
I'm promising you, you can make this bread. So let's look at the ingredients. So number one is yeast. So if you're someone who's afraid of yeast, there may be a few things that you need to look at. Number one, it might be old.
So what's the shelf life?
So I keep it in the freezer. Once it's in the freezer, you're good. Okay. But if it's been sitting on your pantry for a little while, I would say more than a year, toss it, especially if you've got those little packets. Yeah. But keep it in your freezer. Now, when most recipes ask you to proof your yeast, so they'll say, okay, put it in the bowl and just let it get bubbly and fluffy, but it says put it with some hot water. I wanted to show you because I think this is really the best way to do this. So these both have the same amount of water and same amount of yeast in it. The only difference is the water temperatures.
Oh, okay.
So you would think, okay, because this is the way my mind works, well, I want it hot, so I want hotter is better.
Right, thinking that's gonna work faster maybe?
The hot water, if you get it too hot, will actually kill your yeast because it's a living thing. So this is hot water. This is like baby bottle bath water.
If we had a thermometer and we were measuring the temperature or checking it, what would it be? So what do we need?
So what we want is between 80 and 100 degrees. Okay. So again,
not too hot.
Honestly, you just want to kind of, if it feels warm on you, I always err, now that I see this visual, err on the side of cooler, because when we did our time lapse, so the cooler water actually rose higher than the hottest of hot water.
Well, just look at the difference. We want that, this is the foam that we're looking for, right? What you were talking about?
Think about the top of a root beer float. That's kind of what you're wanting on that. So if you're getting more of this rise, then go, shoot, I killed my yeast, so just start over. So by proofing your yeast at the very beginning, you're gonna be able to tell if it's gonna work. Okay. Rather than go through your whole recipe and then you're like, I didn't get the rise I want.
Now tell us, instant or active, does it matter?
I love instant yeast because truthfully, especially if it's new, you don't have to do this part. Yeah. You can just dump it all in your mixer and you're good to go.
Okay, we love that so much. Now, flour real quick. Let's talk about this.
This recipe is so, you can change it. So when I generally make it at home, I use just regular all-purpose flour. Okay. This recipe comes from my mother-in-law, Lisa, came from her sister, Gianna Coombs. Yeah. And so she does half whole wheat or all whole wheat. Okay. I think our mom's generation kind of was like, white bread is bad. Yeah. And so they went let's get back into the whole wheat. I'm like, just give me white bread.
And my grandma used to grind her wheat and put that into our pancakes and everything.
And maybe we'll kind of pull in our, ancestors and do that, but let's be honest, I love just regular white bread. So you can play with the ratios of the cups of flour that are in your recipe. So if you want it all just regular all-purpose, do it that way. If you want to do it half and half. Now, like I said, I don't do a lot of whole wheat, and so as I was pulling my whole wheat flour, this is so embarrassing, but as I was pulling my whole wheat flour out to make it, it's way expired. And I thought, okay, I could just go to the grocery store and I'll just go get some more, but then I thought, No, Courtney loves a good visual.
We love a good visual.
So this is why I
Show us what's under.
I kind of had to hide it. This is what happens
Oh my
when
gosh.
you use old flour. So like we got such a, I mean, look at the rise of, this is all the same recipes, all the same ingredients. The only thing different is our flour.
You have to use fresh ingredients.
Yes.
It's just, I mean, hello, which one do you want to eat? I'm going to take this loaf home with me today.
And we know like a whole wheat flour is going to give us a more dense result, but this is very obvious. So this is all purpose. This is half and half, and this is all. So when you're doing it, don't pull that whole wheat flour out of your food storage that you're like, it's fine, it doesn't smell bad. No, really use fresh ingredients.
It's fine for an emergency, but not for like your everyday. Now, okay, we go through these so quickly, but I do want to look at the dough really quick because I think sometimes we're like worried, what is it supposed to look like or feel like? Will you kind of give us an example or show us what we're looking for here?
Yes.
After it rises, which is going to take a little while, right? We got to let it rise.
So the nice thing about this one, it only has one rice. So you mix it all, and here's the thing, you dump all of your ingredients into your mixer, and then you take it out, you form it into your loaves, and you let it rise for 1 hour in your loaf, and then you bake it. So that's why it can be super quick. But you want it to be somewhat tacky. If you notice that it's like super stiff, instead of putting flour down on your countertop to roll it out or kind of form it, put a little oil.
Oh.
So that way we're not incorporating more flour into it. And
there's your big sis tip of the day too.
But all you do is just, and again, I am not picky about it. Just form it. I will fold the sides in, give it a few slaps to kind of give that air out. And then you'll spray your Fat Daddy-O's loaf pans.
We love these pans.
We could go all into the
cake and bread.
And then bake it. So you let it rise for an hour, let it bake. And then the secret.
Look at this, like look at the bread. It looks amazing. We're totally out of time and I want to eat this, but where are we going to find the recipe and get more tips from you?
It's all on our blog, or I think it's on Studio 5's website, but we'll give you the
always
tips
link it
on there. Yes.
Okay, love that you've got the cinnamon chips for sweet. We could add that in, right?
So instead of doing whole wheat flour, throw cinnamon chips in there, and now you've got cinnamon swirl bread. It's amazing.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so much good stuff. Thanks for all the tips. I feel like we can handle this now, right?
Yes,
we can handle this.
You
Thank you,
got it.
Heather.